We are all about helping you grow as smart business owners and thoughtful leaders, and so are our friends at SignatureFD. SignatureFD is a wealth management company that believes people shouldn't have to wait until retirement to enjoy the wealth they've worked so hard to earn. Using their unique trademarked process, Net Worthwhile, SignatureFD helps clients integrate and activate their wealth in 4 key categories: grow, protect, give, and live, helping their clients enjoy their wealth now while feeling secure about their future. You can go and take the first step by discovering your net worthwhile with their free quiz. You can find it at signaturefd.com/mygpgl. That's signaturefd.com/mygpgl. The link's in today's show notes. Now, let's get back to our conversation.
Welcome to System and Soul, the podcast focused on the human energy that runs your business. I'm Chris White, along with my co-host,
Benj Miller.
All right, you guys ready? Here we go. Jake, drop that beat.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Welcome back, everybody, to System and Soul. Chris White and Benj Miller, co-hosts. And we're excited today. We're going to have an awesome conversation with Jeff Lovell out of Madison, Wisconsin. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be with you.
All right, Jeff, start us off with some crazy, weird fact about you that you can share.
Yeah, this is one of those things that when I tell people, they think I must be making this up because they didn't think this actually existed. But in the 90s, I was in high school and I was a grocery bagging champion. I found my way into that on accident.
That's a thing?
That's a thing, right? Yeah, I was at work one day and the boss comes by and says, "Hey, we're going to have a competition later this week." And I'm like, nobody cared. Like, none of us wanted to do it. We're just a bunch of high school boys who just wanted to be home. But then they told us there was like a cash prize. So I actually tried. And I think I was the only person who tried. So then I won. And then I won the next one. And then I won the next one. And then my boss cared because now it's his chance to get noticed, right? So I came into work the next day and he had like rearranged all my priorities. Like he was paying me to come to work and practice bagging groceries. Like clean up on aisle 7 doesn't apply to me anymore. I just like stand over in the corner and I practice bagging groceries. Like I cut the sides off of them and make sure nothing falls out. You weigh them to make sure everything's even. It was crazy. It was like, it's one of those things like, again, I think my takeaway from all of it was they changed all my priorities. And when you get intentional about something, you can actually, you can get good. And then I won.
What made you good? What was a champion grocery bagger? What were the skills that you like? How does one win that competition?
Well, obviously you got to be fast, right? They put all the stuff on the conveyor belt and it just starts coming at you, and you get 2 bags worth of stuff. And really, at the end, what they do is literally they weigh them. Did you make them even? They cut the sides away, and if anything falls out, like there's points off. So like it all got to. This was back before plastic was a thing. This was just paper bags.
Yeah.
So, and you had this fake customer you had to be nice to. So they kind of just judged you on all those things. And again, if you practice for a month straight, you get paid to come into work for 4 hours at a time and bag groceries. You know,
Wow.
You can get good at it. So and you can make some money. It helped pay for my first year of college. So.
I guess congratulations.
Serious.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks. That's my claim to fame. That's my greatness on display.
Well,
So Jeff, tell us what you're doing
in your trophy cabinet. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Jeff, tell us what you're doing now. I assume you're no longer bagging groceries. Tell us what you're doing and how you got
I've
there.
leveled up a couple of times, but yeah, these days I am an expert guide and coach to authentic living. I help successful creative founders and executives stop wondering what if, stop playing it safe, and actually begin living and designing the life that they want to live.
So what is a creative founder?
Yeah, so most of my clients are people who work in branding, marketing, advertising. They spend most of their life working on everybody else's projects, and I help them slow down long enough to make their life their most important project.
Nice.
So, they founded, ad agencies, or they work in marketing. They work for the billion-dollar brands like Home Depot and Toyota and Disney, all the places. So
How did you find yourself with that niche focus on creative founders?
Yeah, about a year ago, I was, reimagining what the Great Life Project might look like as a full-time gig for me. It was a part-time gig for a while, and it was one of those unique moments where you get to say, who do I want to work with? Who do I love working with? And I'd had enough clients in that space over the years and just enough other people. And I'd spent some time there on my own as well. And so
Gotcha.
These are just my people. We speak the same language. I think, they're creative folks. They like to make a difference. But also a lot of your creative energy gets given to everybody but yourself. And so I love to help people just slow down and ask more important questions.
Yeah, that's super cool. Jeff and I originally connected, I think just over, Jeff puts out very thoughtful content on LinkedIn, really about that kind of intentional living, those sorts of questions that I deeply appreciate. So that's the connection that brought us together, and the reason I wanted to have him on here just for a fun little conversation. So Jeff, what are the top 3 things on your mind today? What are the things you're thinking about or wrestling with?
As a creative guy, I'm the type of guy who typically has 43 things on my mind, and it's always hard enough to slow down and pick 1, 2, or 3. But I'll give you the top 3 today. I think number 1 is how to help people answer the what's next question. Most of the conversations I'm having with people these days are what should I do next? With my career, do I want to keep working at home? Do I want to go back to the office? Do I want to change jobs? Do I want to move out of the city, into the city, change relationships, all the things, right? And so that's the number 1 thing I'm thinking about.
Why do you think that's?
So are you primarily working with that executive who's at a crossroads?
A lot of them are scratching their heads saying, surely there's got to be more to life than this. Or they're laying awake at night saying, what am I doing with my life? And am I giving the best to my family? And I'm not going to get this time back. So how do I make this season really matter?
So your focus is purpose. Is that fair?
It is purpose. That is the number 1 thing I talk to my clients about, and that we spend a lot of time on. And if you can get clear on authentic purpose, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
What do you, the question, what next, that maybe it was just the examples you threw out, but it almost sounds like a sense of restlessness driving those questions. Is that what you're experiencing?
Yeah, I think there's this sense like, for, again, a lot of your listeners, a lot of people you guys work with, life is good. It's not that things are bad or even at a crisis point, but there's this longing that there's got to be something more, right? Am I really making the difference I want to make? Am I giving the best version of me to my wife, to my spouse, to my partner, to my kids? Am I making the difference I want to make in the long term? And I think what a lot of people, where they get stuck, and where I love to wrestle with this question is, a lot of people start to think about, well, if I just change the activities, right? If I make a change to the activities on the outside,
right,
it's going to hopefully make me feel better on the inside. If I change my job, if I pursue a relationship, if I move, and they're asking all these, what should I do questions? And I think there's a better question that we can ask. It's the, instead of changing the activity, let's clarify identity, which is a whole different question, a whole different series of questions. But if we could get clear on, what are your superpowers? What are you better at than anybody else in the world? How does your unique story, impact what you're able to do in the world? The highs, your successes, I think even more powerful sometimes, the lows, the hard parts of your story.
Yeah.
We can redeem those things, your passion, your purpose. And when we answer those who am I questions, then that we don't have to worry about the what do I do questions, right? Because those start to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. It's like, people are always asking what to do next. I say, wrong question. The real question here is, who do you want to be? And then we can start to figure out some of those other things.
That's exactly why I was asking, because to go from striving to, striving questions of there's got to be something more, what's next, something else. Am I giving everything in the whole world my best? And then at some point it's like you get comfortable with who you are and you just show up as yourself. Yeah. And there's a lot of freedom in that. And it's almost like, to your last point, it's almost like more opportunities come to you just by being content than to try and figure out what all the options are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, and most people, I don't know what age it is. I think different people, it happens at a different age, right? Some people are, maybe they're fortunate and start asking some of those questions in their 20s. A few more ask them in their 30s. Most people get around to them by their 40s. And a few people are still figuring it out in their 50s and 60s. A lot of my, I'm in my 40s, and a lot of the people I'm having that conversation with are just kind of in that place where you've got a little more time on your hands because your kids don't need 100% of your attention, and work is a little more, you've reached a point in your career where you have some flexibility. You can at least make some decisions about where you're giving your time and energy.
Yeah.
So,
you're so structured on the front end, right? Like, okay, you have your experiences working as a teenager, and then you go to school, and then you get out in the real world, you get married, the house, the kids, and then, so you have that whole front end. And you're right. I think of it myself. I'm 57 now. We launched 4 kids, and we've been on our own, right, for multiple years now. Yeah. And I know for my wife, who, is a nurse by trade and education and career, but, she left that to raise the family. And for her, getting on the other side of that, because she's a successful business owner as well as being a nurse and educator. But once you raise the kids and you get them launched, then, she was settling back in, okay, now my purpose has been our family for, all these years. And the kids are all launched. They're all, they're in their 30s now. And she's, she's looking and discovering like her next season, like where she's going to land her purpose, and might be, at 20 and 30, you pretty much get it, right? I mean, you think you get it. You got to get the job. You got to find and have the kids. But it's that transition in life where you've had one singular purpose for 20 plus years, and now it's gone. Yeah. Business owners who scale their business and sell it.
Yep.
And they didn't have a purpose on the other end. Our veterans, our American veterans, whose suicide rates are at the highest. One of the reasons is because of lack of purpose. They lived this way, and now they're back in the civilian world, which doesn't make sense to them.
Right.
And
they just spent the last 4 to 20 years being told who they were. They don't have a sense of who they are on their own. Yeah.
Following the process and the regimen but yeah, so I imagine the work that you do, regardless of the age, it's got to be really gratifying to help another person to sort of either rediscover a purpose or new purpose, but it's got to be really gratifying work.
I love what I get to do. I get to show up every day and sit across a conversation like this and help. I say part of my job is just to hold up mirrors and help people see themselves, maybe in a new way for the first time. So.
Hey, I want to interrupt today's conversation to ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're counting the days to retirement to really enjoy the money you're working so hard to earn? If this is you, I've got some friends I want to introduce you to. SignatureFD. SignatureFD is a different kind of wealth management company that's helping clients enjoy their wealth now while creating security for the future. They have a unique trademark process called Net Worthwhile, which helps clients integrate and activate their wealth in 4 key categories: grow, protect, give, and live. You can take the first step to discovering your net worthwhile with their free quiz. You can find it at signaturefd.com/mygpgl. The link's also in today's show notes. Let's get back to our conversation. Those questions like, who am I? They feel existential, like let's bring in all the great philosophers to have the conversation. Yeah. But like at a practical level, where, if somebody's listening and they're totally rolling their eyes right now, like where do they start?
Right. Well, they wouldn't be the first person to roll their eyes at me, and that's understandable. And I think it can be this kind of esoteric out there conversation. And so part of what we have to do is let's clarify the pain, because there actually is pain attached to this. In fact, that's actually the second thing I've been thinking about these days, is how it's possible, and it's a common mistake to keep climbing higher without also going deeper. And here's what I mean by that is that most of us are trying to figure out some stuff in life. And we just talked about that a little bit, but how, it's possible to achieve more, to start the next company, keep climbing the next mountain. I start the next thing. I win the next award. I finish that degree, whatever the thing is. And we know how to keep climbing higher, but it takes us further and further away from who we actually want to be, from who we really are, from maybe the people who matter most to us. And so one of the first questions I ask people to help dig into this is who's actually paying the price? Because it's probably not you. Maybe it's your coworkers because you're a jerk at work in order for you to be, they're kind of a pawn in your game, or it's your kids because, you show up at their game, but when they glance over and you're on the sidelines, you're on your phone doing the work thing, or, your spouse used to love you. They still like who you used to be, but those are real things. And other people are paying the price for you.
Yeah, there's casualties there, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so one of Bronnie Ware, this was probably in the last 20 years, she did some great research about, the top 5 regrets of the dying. And the number one thing for most of them is I didn't live a life that was true to me. I climbed all the wrong mountains is kind of how I say that. And so one of the things I do with my clients when they start to roll their eyes is I say, well, let's think about that. You've pursued a lot of inauthentic purpose. And here's what I mean by that is there's the me I wish I was. So I do, I wish I had been a supermarket bagging champion, I wish I would have given more of myself. Right. I wish I was an NFL player, except for I'm 5 foot nothing and 100 and some pounds. So, but there's all the things I wish I was, and so I'm pursuing those things. Or there's probably the one that's the most dangerous for a lot of people is you've actually been successful, right? So you won the award, and then you got the promotion, and then there's this version of purpose that isn't actually what you wanted to do in the first place. It's just what you were successful at. And now it pays the bills and it's too freaking scary to step away from it.
Yeah.
And so there's the me everybody else pays you to be. It has nothing to do with who you actually are. And so there's this pain there. That's where we do. What we do is some of those mirrors are where does the pain come in all of this? Where are you laying awake at night saying, what am I doing? Are you, and there's ways we can dig into some of that.
That's
and
so
I think
good.
we all grapple with that at different periods. Like I was actually just having a conversation with one of my closest friends who's been in higher education for 31 years. He's reached the pinnacle of his, department and whatnot at the college. And we were just talking actually this morning. And we were, because we're both 57 and, he's going to be sliding into home here. He could have already slid into home, but he chose not to. But he's now like 3 years out. And I asked him a question. I said, hey, when you look back on your, what do you think? What do you see? And he said, he goes, I'll be honest. I think for 31 years I've been faking it. Like I'm a poor kid from Chicago who, got interested in like anatomy and kinesiology and I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I was an imposter in having reached the pinnacle, but like inside, it's like, that's not like, he won't even let them put doctor on his door. And he's got his, he has his PhD.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that and I didn't hear regret necessarily in his voice, but it was interesting that he'd look back and I was like, man, you've impacted how many thousands of students, whether they actually finished that degreed program or not. I mean,
Sure.
Think of the number of lives you've impacted and just doing simple math. I mean, you've had a huge impact and you couldn't do that as an imposter for that many years, consistently winning awards and, notoriety in his field. But I think as humans, we struggle with that.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I would even identify for your friend is that there was actually an important switch that happened for him that he maybe didn't recognize. And that when we can illuminate it for people, kind of the lights go off here is we there's a point where we stop being seekers of purpose and we become bringers of purpose, right? Or we search for purpose from our work. We search for purpose from our relationships. We search for purpose in our all kinds of things, from our gender, from our faith, from our wherever. But there's a moment where if we can make a switch, we become bringers of purpose. I bring purpose to my work. I bring purpose to my relationships. I'm not there as a consumer of these things, but because of my story, because of who I am, because I'm confident in my identity and I know what I bring to this. I'm not here to get anything from you. I'm here to serve you. I can here to love you freely. I can be generous with my time and my talent. And that's the game changer.
I love that. Jeff, when you talk about going higher without going deeper, what are some of the ways, like I could make a ton of assumptions here, but I don't want to do that. What does that look like or mean or for you, for your clients to go deeper?
Yeah, I think there's that part where we a lot of my clients, they are successful people. They're successful. They know how to win at work. Maybe they don't always know how to win at home. I think maybe to change the analogy, there's the going deeper. Really what I'm saying is it's possible to keep climbing all the mountains out there without doing the inner work, right? And I think that was a transitional point in my career, my life. And some of the things that set me in this work is like, I was achieving all the right things, except for I was a mess on the inside. And the people that knew me best kind of didn't like me. And so, I need to stop doing that work out there and climb some of these mountains in here. I need to get clear on who I am. We've got to slow down. We've got to do that inward journey of getting clear on purpose. Got to know myself better. I got to understand my tendencies, my good ones. I mean, I have magic I can bring, but I also have, I can be demanding. I can be unclear in my expectations and then wonder why you didn't meet them. All of those things. So understanding my tendencies and leading myself better, just getting healthier. I think man, life is not a race. Well, if it is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just helping people slow down and make the most of this current season. I think we're always, at least most creatives that I work with, we're always hoping that the next season's going to be the best season. And we never get around to the next season. We're just kind of stuck in the perpetual now. So.
Well, yeah, I forget where I read this, and I'm sure I'll butcher it, but I'll do my best here. But essentially, like our purpose is, as a human, is to work. Yeah. And our purpose is to try to do good every day, right? When we wake up in the morning, what good can I put out into the world? And unfortunately, like that example and many others, like a lot of times people will spend either too much time in the past where they may have guilt around decisions or what have you, life happened to them or whatever. Or like this example, they're always out in the future. And this article talked about if you're spending your time in the past, that's stress. That's anxiety because you're dwelling on whatever negative thought that's holding you, guilt around something, whatever that is. It's impeding your progress to move forward. And then if you're spending too much time in the future, you're not getting anything done. Because you're always pining for the next thing around the corner, and it's the next thing. And then you miss out, like your earlier comment about you're missing out what's in front of you today. Like, and if you're living in the future a little too much or living in the past, what I'm hearing you saying is it's about just coming in and being present today, getting clear on today, and then go execute today. And do it again tomorrow. Like come in intentionally with that purpose just for the day.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I love that. And I think, I'm a very future oriented person. I mean, that is my default setting. I dream about the future. I live in the future. I years ago, I said it this way to another friend is like, I tolerate today to get to tomorrow. And that's how much I live in the future. But I also realized that it was stealing my life from me because I'm always just trying to get to the next thing. And I fail to see the gifts of today, of my kids being here, of
Sure.
whatever's happening right in front of me, of the relationships I'm making with my clients today, or I'm worried about the money I need to make tomorrow, so I fail to show up and serve the people that I'm with today. So I'm not saying we should. Man, I also think we should be strategic, and there's certain value in building the systems that make the thing work better tomorrow. Like all that's valuable, but not at the expense of today.
Hey podcast listeners, System and Soul coach Phil Mazer here. Today I have a coach's tip for you about the organizational chart. Forget what you've always known about an organizational chart. Stop thinking about it as a list of names and job titles. Now, imagine it as the most powerful tool in your business. What we're trying to do here is get your business flowing in the right direction. Every position working toward that ultimate vision. That visionary's job is your long-term vision. You have a KPI that measures the success of that vision. What if every job on the org chart had a mission and a KPI to measure its success? That's all you have to do. All you have to do is outline a mission for each job that is in alignment with the position that it reports to. Then you find a KPI to measure it. So my challenge to you is to take the next 90 days and hash out this tool for your company. It's not easy, but here's a hack for you. Delegate it to your team. Have them come up with it for their own job. They can create their own mission and KPI for their position. It's a great conversation starter for that one-on-one meeting you've been meaning to have with them. Good luck.
Jeff, what's the third thing on your mind?
The third thing on my mind these days is how easy it is to pursue more information without experiencing transformation. I mean, I'm the guy with my daughter actually counted recently. There's 742 books behind me, and I've at least touched all of them. I've read a lot of them, right? I mean, most people I talk to are trying to figure some things out. They need to solve a business problem, or they got to make more money, or they got to change their career or buy a car, whatever the thing is, right? We've got dreams for our life, plans for our life. And so we Google it, we, buy the next book, research the thing, keep making those little tweaks, keep trying a little bit harder. And all that information is helpful, but it doesn't last, right? If it doesn't change us, if it doesn't transform us, because it's easy to consume information, but what we long for is transformation, and transformation takes time. It's slow. Nobody wants the slow solution.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the thing that takes longer.
Right.
For sure.
But it's the thing that we actually need and the thing that we actually want. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think about like one of my favorite toys when I was a kid was Transformers. Like it looks like one thing, but it actually is another thing. And the other thing is way cooler, but you got to take the time to make the change.
Yeah.
And so it comes back to that same idea of like today is where the opportunity is. It's like, it's not the next season that's going to change your life. It's not. Go ahead.
There's an author. You just made me think of their author Tim Spiker, and he wrote a book about the only leaders worth following, and in it he talks about like we all have the capacity to learn, right? Yep. Like you've got 752 books. I probably have close to that behind me as well, and I know I've touched them all. And but what did I put into action? So Spiker talks about we all have the capacity to learn, but the idea is you have to become.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the transformation part, right? When you can transform inwardly, right? Whatever it is you're improving or changing or whatever, it's you got to become it. And you can read 1,000 books and you learn something. But did you apply it? Did it become part of you?
And that's the conversation I have with my clients all the time, is that the goal of this coaching process, this guided process, is not doing, it's becoming. And, it's becoming a person of authentic purpose.
Right.
It's becoming a person who knows how to build meaningful, lasting relationships that stand the test of time, so that your kids are still talking to you when you're 70 and, you can celebrate a big wedding anniversary or something like that. It's becoming the kind of person who has these life-giving practices so that, you can master your stress. You can keep yourself filled up with joy and with peace. There's actually ways to keep coming back to those things that drive you and that, keep you healthier. You become the kind of person who actually is making a lasting contribution in the world. We're not just accidentally hoping that good things happen at the end of our life, but we have a plan for this season and for the next season. That's the work I love to do, is to guide people into that kind of transforming life experience.
For sure. I'm curious from both of you guys, if you have any, like what helps you or helps you encourage other people from moving from information to transformation. Right now, for me, I've been fascinated with the idea of micro actions. So how can we take this big transformation or change that we want, and instead of thinking about how do we get there, how do we just get 1% closer to that? Like, what is a very small, almost seemingly insignificant step that we could take over and over and over? And then we start using the laws of compounding interest, right, on those actions to make massive changes. But because so often we try to change and we pick up something that is too big for us to maintain that momentum of that change, and it just crashes and we're right back to where we started. So I love the idea of micro actions and figuring out what those can be. What are some of the things that you guys do?
I would just pick up on that idea. I mean, one of the first conversations when I'm sitting down with a new client is, where do you want to be? And then I pretty much say, well, that's nice, but that's not going to happen. Like if you're just, we can get there, but they're so anxious to get there that they miss what they can do. Again, right. Let's talk about what you can do next week. And this week. And then the other thing I would say, Benj, on that is and then don't go it alone. With humble curiosity and courageous vulnerability, bring somebody else into the journey with you.
Yes.
I'm a coach these days. I think coaching really matters. I've had coaches. I've at every major turning point, when I wanted to start a business, when I wanted to lead a new team, et cetera, et cetera. I think coaches can really help us to see what we can't, to get better. So.
That's right. Yeah. For me, I have this daily battle rhythm that I was taught in a leadership program that I was in, and it puts me in my workshop at a certain time, and I read the same two books every morning. What for me, I'm reducing the amount of books I'm consuming, and I'm really focusing. I'm actually focusing inward. You talked about that earlier, and that's part of your process. I'm actually focusing all my attention, to become inwardly sound, and I'm working on some principles that are around that. It's a little bit of a heavy lift over a period of time. So I'm naturally a 9 quick start. I'm out the gate. Let's go. And like you mentioned earlier, with doing that, I missed a bunch of stuff. in my quest to get to the end too quick, I missed the part of the journey that could have transformed me. So, as you get older, you like to think you get a little wiser, and that's kind of where my headspace has been, is there are areas that I need to address and work on, and kind of like Benj's micro thing, I chip away at it every day, and I just worry about the day, like I mentioned earlier, and I try to put something into practice. Something. The mantra is, what good can I do to whoever I interact with today? So they're kind of like Benj's micro approach. Mm-hmm. But I've built this. I've been working on this for a while, and it's not easy. Journaling did not come easy to me, but it's a discipline like anything else, and it's a commitment it's a lifelong commitment, right? Yeah. It doesn't really have an endpoint to say, but if I can get better today, good.
Jeff,
I like to help people. Also, one thing I do for myself, and this was something a coach taught me years ago, and now I like to do it for others. It's like, what's the fourth why? Meaning, like, a lot of people have the why. I want to, whatever. I want to make the more money this year. Okay, why? So that I, can pay off my house. Okay, why? And then blah blah blah. So I can be freely available for my grandkids one day. Whatever the thing is, right? Get to that fourth why, and I think that's where some transformation happens, because it reframes what it is we're actually trying to do today. I'm not just trying to wake up and make more money. I'm trying to build a life that 20 years from now is going to have a different kind of impact. So.
Jeff, I love getting to know you. I love what you're doing at the Great Life Project. I want to end with two questions. Sure. Where can people find you, find out more about you, and leave us with your greatest piece of wisdom for the day?
All right. My greatest piece of, there's no pressure there. Well, first of all, thank you guys. Appreciate you sharing your time with me today and with your audience as well. People can find me in two places. My website, jefflovell.coach. You can find more about that. And then I'm on LinkedIn consistently. You'll find me there every day as well. I think the best wisdom I could leave you with today is that truly, of all the things you could give your energy to, you're giving your creative energy to everybody else these days, but your life really is your most important project. It's the one you'll never get back. So make the most of that one today.
Thank you, Jeff. I will reiterate that Jeff is a great follow on LinkedIn. So head over there, find him. We'll put a link in the show notes. Thank you for your time, Jeff. Great getting to know you. System and Soul listener, we will see you back next time.